Hello, everybody. Hopefully, this goes off with less of a hitch than last time. Actually, let me adjust. See, the YouTube app makes it look like I am at the right height or at the right composition, and then it doesn't actually let you compose until you go live. So, anyway, I have some bad news and I have some good news. So here's the bad news: my computer, it died once again for the same reason as before, which was the person who thought it would be a brilliant idea to make a 14 pin motherboard power input. Um, well, I have a 25 pin or 26 or whatever the standard is for a power supply, and let's just say that it gave it too much power. And I don't know if the motherboard's messed up yet or if it was the power supply that went because I have to test things. But anyway, there are not going to be any new videos besides live ones or simple ones like these for probably the next 2 to 3 weeks because I have one powerful computer. The other one's a piece of crap. So I'm trying to decide on whether I'm going to just buy a new one and eventually get this one into working order again. Uh, or if I'm just going to replace the new one and just have one. So I think I'm going to actually maybe get a new one so that I have two powerful computers eventually. So I'll just have one powerful computer and then one that's dead and then um the crappy one for that's only really good for web browsing and emailing. Anyway, I don't want to talk about too much of that. I want to get into audio engineering. So thank you for the people that just joined me. I saw somebody wrote something, I believe. I will get to questions and answers. What I'm going to do is I'm going to trade off between news and questions and answers, and I actually want to maybe do a daily live broadcast, so Monday through Friday until the computer is replaced or repaired. So first of all, I want to talk about the big, well, I'll say kind of the coolest plugin right now, or that's not really I guess it is a plugin. Technically, it's a plugin or just software, but for people that have the old Avid control surfaces, interfaces, and let me just read those off. Um, I'm not sure how many of you out there have these, but they, they're still useful hardware. They still work. They were designed back in a time where where things weren't immediately breaking after a year of usage. Okay, so it's the Digitally Design Pro Control and the Digitally Design Control 24. I've actually used the 24, which is great, but Avid stopped supporting them. So guess what? Finally, a company jumped in and said, okay, if you want to use Pro Tools 2019 with your old legacy user control, I'm gonna let you. So it is called the Nyrink, and that's spelled Neyrinck. Nyrink V Control Pro version 2.3. So that is awesome. That is a very cool little piece of software. I don't know how much it costs. It's probably not cheap, but if you have an old control interface, then now you can use you can use it again, which is awesome. Unless you throw it away already. All right. Secondly, I want to talk about there's a new Pultec EQ plugin suite by I've never heard of this company before. It's NoiseAsh. So Noise. It's not spelled any weird way. Ash ASH. That's all one word. And it's called the RuleTech, spelled RULE space TEC. And the user reviews so far on this thing are really good. The GUI is just I don't want to say perfect because I haven't used it yet, but the marketing stuff it looks really good. I don't know how big it is on the screen, but people are saying there's actually a few people who are saying that they've used anything from the UAD Pultecs, including the newer ones. They've used even Acoustica Audio stuff. These apparently are the closest to a real Pultec hardware EQ. Again, I don't know. I wish I could test this stuff, but don't have a computer. So, and let's see. I'm gonna pause for a second and read some comments. So where are hold on, I'm missing something here. Okay, here they are. Well, I'll use these on camera because I actually can just sit back and not have to shove my face near the camera if I use these little bit thicker glasses. Hey Harold, by the way, I actually wanted to answer your question on. Thank you for joining the broadcast because I know that for some reason YouTube doesn't notify people correctly. By the way, I know I have hair sticking up, which is like I just figured I'm not even gonna comment. I'm not gonna. I could have wore a hat, but I figured I'd just go with it, man. Because believe it or not, I actually used to have hair that went down like to this area, and it would stick up. I used to get my hair like spiked and stuff back in the day, way back in the day. So, all right, live chat. Sorry, this is like I don't know why YouTube does this. I am live right now. Yes, I am. Good evening to you, Obsidian S. And man, I cannot. Okay. Let me answer. I'm laughing at that thumbnail. It's ridiculous looking. Um, I'm gonna answer Harold's question on camera once the tablet doesn't sting. So you gotta like go through all these menus now. They're and it's okay if you're not, sitting there doing a live broadcast, but I thought I could just hit. Nope. Nope, you can't do it. I can't do it. Okay. So I believe the question was left in. Now I have to track down the video. Get it done. I believe that was the one. You can get customized insurance. Okay. So the question was, Adam, I need some guidance, please. I purchased a Person's Audio Box 996. I also bought a audio patch bay. I want to run instruments, synthesizers, and effects processors through the patch bay to my PreSonus. I'm assuming that's the interface. And finally to my Yamaha HS80M studio monitors. So what is the correct order, or am I missing something? Well, I don't know what a Person's Audio Box 96 is, so let me look that up for a second. I've never heard of that. Everything else I'm familiar with. But well, typically if you have a patch bay, you're going to run it on any inserts or sends that you have. So for a mixing board, you would do that. So basically, the patch bay just makes it easier than having to unplug a ton of things all the time. So, audio box 96. Okay. So, I'm seeing PreSonus audio box. Okay. Okay. So you might have been typing like I do with my voice. Man, should I put a hat on? This is getting. I don't know. Hey, I'll take a poll in the chat. Should I keep the hat, or should I put a hat on, or should I keep the? I gotta get a haircut. It's either shaved or it gets like this, and then it has to stay like this. I guess like technically, if I held my arm like this, it would eventually go down. So let's see. Man, why does that have to be right over the camera? Okay, I'll try to do it over here so my finger's not like pointing at you guys. Oh, all right, let's see. So the audio box USB 96. I believe that's what you have. Is that correct, Harold? And now it's not auto updating. Shave my entire head? Like shave it down like all Stone Cold Steve Austin? I don't know why. That when I think of bald guys, that's the first person that comes to mind. I used to be a big wrestling fan back in I would say 1993 through 2001, I guess. So during the partially during the Attitude Era and partially during the, we'll call it, cartoon characters era with like Doink the Clown and people like that, Yokozuna, and so. All right. Okay, the Audio Box 96. So it doesn't have an insert. It has main outs. So if you if you watched, I made a video called like how to use outboard gear with like budget hardware or whatever. If you just type in outboard, if you search for that on the main channel for this channel, Real Home Recording, I basically just plug in the main outs to, in this case, the patch bay. So it's been a while since I've used a patch bay, but basically you would find the inputs of the patch bay, and then there's a lot of cabling involved. So imagine if anybody not familiar with a patch bay, imagine the old phone operators back in the day from like, the 1960 or 1950s and before. So you have your little quarter-inch cables, going here, going there. So it saves you a little bit of time um, patching in outboard gear. So really, I hate saying it like this, man, but I would say read the manual, and because a lot of times things are like specific to the patch bay, and I can't really necessarily answer your question unless I was there in person. I haven't used a patch bay since about 2010, so I don't have enough gear, outboard gear to justify buying one. So I wish I could answer your question, but what I would do is just use, if you have depending on if you're going for stereo or yeah, what, yeah, just assume you're not doing stereo, you're just using your, each channel as a mono channel. That's what I would do with a small interface like that. That's what I use with the Audient. And unfortunately, because you don't have a second line output, you're going to have to use headphone outputs. And, you know, it that's what you got to do with a smaller interface. So, yeah, unless you have inserts or sends, then you're kind of stuck using just the regular main outs. So I hope I answered your question. And so the order, well, if you have a synthesizer, and let's see, it does look like there are line inputs. Well, there's an instrument input on the front, which could serve as a line input. I don't know. I haven't used this interface. So if you can use the front panel inputs for your synth, I don't know if I would assume that if you're doing that, and there is a MIDI input, so that's nice. So yeah, you would just run the synths into the input, and I mean at that point it's converted. Once you're going in. So um, well, actually, if you have a line out from your synthesizer, you should just then patch it into the patch bay, and then ultimately the output would go into the front panel inputs um, after it goes through your hardware processing, because you want to make sure that your analog signal is as pure as possible prior to hitting the converter. So you want to do any processing at line level that you can. So, if you had like an external preamp, for example, you know, you plug in your XLR cable from a microphone or whatever, and you amplify that, and then you wouldn't actually go into your interface at that point. You would go right into the patch bay, and then you would process it with a gate, an EQ, whatever the case, compressor, and then you would then ultimately run that into your inputs prior to. Yeah, so you always want to try to keep things as pure as possible, if that makes sense. Um, Once you're mixing, cool. Once you're mixing, it's whatever. You just have to, make sure that you're uh changing things up and making sure that your lines or your levels are proper. And that this is what that, I always try to go between what, -18 and -10. If you're doing percussion, you can get away with -6. I still try to avoid going that high on the peaks, but anyway, I hope that answers the question, man. And I'm going to go on to the next piece of news at this point. If you guys have any other questions, I will answer them after I'm done with this. And so Slate Digital actually put out something. I didn't really look into it, so I'm just going to say that apparently they have some reverb plates. So if you like their, well, if you like their previous reverb plugin, if you like their previous delay plugin, which was from a third-party company, just like this one is, it looks like they have a bunch of plate reverb. So they have, I don't know if they detailed what is on here, but if you have the Slate Everything bundle, you automatically get it for no extra cost. And if you want to buy it individually right now, it is available for $149. So, and that's available until April 21st. But they're actually, hold on. One more bit of news for now, because I want to save some things for tomorrow, is Gullfoss? I think that's how you pronounce it. The Gullfoss plugin, which, as far as I'm concerned, its main purpose is, well, technically, if you need to do a very quick mix, it would probably be good for that. But the way I look at it is, if you need something that is like the final touch to your mix. So you, after all the other plugins that you have on, you put this one on. I haven't used it yet, and I'm actually in line to use it, or well, now I'm not because of the computer issue. Um, but it's basically like the final touch, and it's almost like Lander but in the box, but not really. Um, I don't know if this is the first plugin that's done it, but I think that a lot of people are saying it's probably the best. Yeah, yeah, there's been other ones. Yeah, I know Isotope has done it before, but Gullfoss, or however you say that, um, is possibly the currently the best one to do. I call it robot mixing, where we have an artificial intelligence taking over. Um, so, hey, you know what? Cool. And right now, I think it's really cheap for what it can do. If it works as advertised. Again, I don't have any experience with Gullfoss. I don't have any experience. I, I'm just putting these products out there for you guys to try on your mixes. You don't need it. No, no. And please never get me wrong. The only reason I even talk about new products is because like I mean it's something new to talk about. But besides that, a lot of the times these tools can come in handy. A lot of times they won't, but it just all depends on what kind of music you're mixing. It depends on what your style is. Some people might like the way something looks. I know a lot of plugins, I use them simply because I like the way they look. I like the way they sound, but not. I don't mean I think they're like pretty plugins. I mean that I can use them and quickly mix. And to me, it's all about quality number one and speed number two. So if there's a new product out there that can save on both. And again, in the case of, if you're doing this, especially not as a hobbyist, but as a professional, time is money. So if you can buy something that improves both, then great. So, which is why, like, for example, I want a new computer. I want a new computer because I'm getting to the point where I know that if I want to start doing 4K video productions, my old processor is not cutting it, and my old motherboard is not cutting it. I don't want to run into an issue where once again my motherboard is surged because I have a GTX 1070 graphics card. That's ridiculous. Um, I just never thought that playing a video game would fry my computer, but it freaking did, and that's what happened. So, I'm tired of running that risk. I want to use my graphics card to its fullest potential, and I can't because my motherboard's a piece of shit. So, um, hey, it's gonna cost extra money, but in the end, it'll be worth it, and I will have two nice computers to work with. I can use one as a render farm. I call it a render farm. Well, it'll be a render farm if I use both computers, right? At the same time. Um, so yeah. Anyway, I want to see what you guys have been typing to me because this is a two-way conversation, or at least it's as good as I can make it. So better than what's his name? Philip DeFranco. I really should just try shaving it all off one day. Keep keep it with a mullet, like Hulk Hogan. Um, yeah, sorry I couldn't help you more, Harold. You know, like I said, I haven't used a patch bay for like 9 years, so or actually eight and a half. So 15% recover and all right. Hey, in case the comments are removed, OG Jaldens said he likes to put, or she likes to put Gullfoss or Guff. I'm saying it wrong now. I don't even remember now. Gullfoss on 15% recover and 15% tame on mixes before bus compression and EQ. Cool. That's okay. You know, shit happens with computers. I'm just glad I still have my video camera. If that goes, I'm screwed. Although I could replace it because luckily now you can buy them used for about 2,500 to $3,000. So if mine did go, I would probably just do that. I wouldn't buy a new one. I still look 4K is cool, man, but we don't really need it unless you're shooting like a movie or something. And at that point, you may as well shoot on a DSLR or a mirrorless camera. So it's like, you know. By the way, guys, please give this video a thumbs up while I'm thinking about it. And it does help a little bit. And also your participation is very, very welcomed. So, okay, sorry. Obsidian S had a question a long time ago. What dictates the positive scales of a mixer channel in Reaper? +6, +12. Is it adjustable? Okay, so I believe you're asking about the automation channels, the automation lanes. I don't believe. Well, you know what? Reaper is so customizable, but that if I say this, I'm probably wrong. I am not aware of a way to make the. Actually, no, I'm wrong. Okay, so no, hold on. Let me think about this. If it's pre-FX, if it's volume pre-FX, I don't know of a way to make that higher than +6 decibels. Like I think it's actually +6.02. But who's counting at that point? Um, if you are doing volume post FX, then what dictates it is the fader. So if your fader is already set to like +18, then +6 is actually going to be equal to what's that? +20, 24, something like that. Yeah, so +24 would be your actual gain amount. So what I've always done, I just use a gain plugin. I either use well, if I'm doing automation, I'll use Blue Cat gain. I haven't actually tried Air Windows Purist gain for automation. I'm pretty sure you can use it for automation. I just never tried it yet. So I can't say for sure because not every plugin has automation parameters. I know it's kind of weird saying that, but it's true. But if Air Windows Purist gain has it, then I recommend using that just because I don't know. Seems like a good idea. Maybe Blue Cats is better. I don't know. But both of those plugins are free, so um, go ahead and Blue Cats is available on the biggest amount of plugin formats though. So out of those two, prior to that, I actually was using something called Sonoxus Free G. That was my gain plugin. It also has metering on it, but unfortunately they put that behind some weird like you got to sign up for it and then you got to download this stuff. So it used to be able to just download the plugin straight out and not sign up for anything. So Free G is probably still available, you know. So I think I'll talk about one more thing. Oh, actually, no, I will. I did have this kind of sort of ready. So apparently, there's audio interfaces coming out lately that use the USB-C connector protocol, but they're not actually using USB 3.1 or even 3.2. So it's kind of like, okay, why bother? Why bother with USB-C? Well, I get it because it's becoming more of a standard on laptops and smartphones and tablets and all that stuff. However, there's no benefit to it for most audio interfaces unless you are using what's called USB. Let me get this correct. It's PB, but I forget what that is because I'm literally just learning about it today. So USB, I'm sorry, PD, and that stands for Universal Serial Bus Power Delivery. Yes, power delivery. I thought it said powered. Okay, so power delivery. And if you guys have seen my video from a long, long time ago, I talked about USB 3.1 Type C. I might be actually it's USB C or USB 3. Yeah, USB 3.1 Type C is what it used to be called, and I think it's just USB C 3.1 PD technically or something like that. Either way, the bottom line is these protocols, I don't know if that's the right word, but these interfaces, these input and outputs allow for a very high bandwidth. I believe is it 10 gigabits, 10 gigabits, or it might even be more than that. But the biggest thing is these can be powered off, I believe, up to 100 watts if your motherboard can support it. That is really cool, and it opens the doors for a lot of just more portability. It can, save just from the cable clutter. I know if you're an audio engineer, you know about the cable clutter. So if I can save even just one extra cable from hanging out somewhere or dongling out somewhere, I will take that. So that seems to be what they're trying to do. But again, if you're going to have a bunch of different 100-watt devices plugged into something, number one, you got to get yourself a desktop. I do not screw around with laptops when it comes to production work. It's desktops or it's nothing. Honestly, if I need portability, I will use a tablet or a smartphone. I don't even like doing that. Laptops to me, man, they're a pain in my fucking ass. So I just use desktops. Whenever I'm mixing or mastering, I'm using desktops. If I can get away with it when I'm recording, I use a desktop. Actually, that opens up a possibility. If I do buy a new computer, I can use the second computer as a portable device. Not portable, but if I could take it to gigs and not have to worry about my computer breaking as much. Um, so, all that being said, USB 3.2 or 3.1 PB, PD, power delivery. That's right. Remember that, guys. If it doesn't say USB PD, then it is not powered, but that is the future. And these audio interface manufacturers that are not taking advantage of that and only using the USB-C connector type, I just don't get it. Like, unless you're adding, because the whole point of that is to get better latency and to be able to power it without having to plug into the wall. Um, so if they're not taking advantage of those new protocols, then what's the freaking point? Just use USB 2. So thank you for listening to my rant. Thank you for joining me live again. If you join late, please hit the thumbs up button, and I guess tune in. I'm gonna try to do this earlier tomorrow. I was doing things tonight, so that's why I was late. It was late for a couple of reasons, but I was doing things late. I will try to do this. Let's see, today's Tuesday. So I will try, yeah, I'll try to do this throughout the rest of the week if there's enough news to talk about, because that might not be, if there's nothing to talk about, I'm not even gonna bother. So I wish I had like, I wish I had like a live thing and I could like put up slides and stuff like that'd be cool. But don't have a computer, so I can't do that. Don't have a switcher, but this is good enough, guys. This is good enough. And thanks for joining. I will see if anybody else asked the question, then I'm gonna get off of here if there wasn't. Nope. That looks about it. So